Have you ever felt like your kindness is being taken for granted? Is that the more you give, the less you receive in return? Or maybe you've noticed that the more you try to be good, the more emotionally drained and disconnected you become. You're not alone. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in history, spent years studying this exact dilemma. He discovered a profound truth. The more we strive for perfection in our goodness, the stronger our shadow side becomes, and it can have destructive effects on our well-being. This video will take you on a journey into the hidden parts of your personality, helping you understand why blindly embracing kindness can harm you. We'll explore how ignoring your anger, your boundaries, and your true needs can make you more vulnerable rather than stronger. But it's not all bad news. By integrating your shadow, embracing both your light and your darkness, you can transform your kindness into something powerful, authentic, and fulfilling. If you've ever wondered how to be truly kind without losing yourself in the process, this video is for you. Stay with us until the end, and you'll discover how to set healthy boundaries, stop people-pleasing, and finally unlock the strength to live with true authenticity and power. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Imagine your kindness as a brilliant, radiant light, shining so brightly it seems impossible to extinguish. Society teaches us that to keep that light burning, we must silence everything else within us: our anger, our needs, our limits. It's as if we're told that to be truly kind, we must repress parts of ourselves that make us human. But Carl Jung saw through this illusion, recognizing how deeply flawed this idea truly is. He understood that real kindness doesn't stem from denying the parts of ourselves we deem undesirable. No, true kindness comes from embracing the entirety of who we are, the light and the dark. How many times have you felt that deep inner voice whispering, "Enough, this isn't right," only to ignore it because you were taught that a good person wouldn't think like that? How many times have you buried your anger, your frustration, or your pain, convincing yourself that these feelings made you less worthy of love or respect? I know you've been there, and so have I. Every time you reject these parts of yourself, telling yourself you need to be better or kinder, you're not becoming more whole, you're becoming more fractured. This message isn't urging you to abandon kindness. Far from it. What I'm saying is that it's time to awaken from the slumber of naive kindness and transform it into something deeper, stronger, and far more complete. True kindness isn't the absence of darkness. It's the ability to integrate every single part of who we are into a whole, balanced self. It's time to stop pretending that you can only be good if you ignore the parts of you that make you feel unacceptable. What you're about to uncover may shake the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about goodness. It might challenge old beliefs about love, sacrifice, and authenticity, beliefs that have likely shaped your life in ways you haven't even realized. But I urge you to stay with me. If you dare to listen, to truly question what you've always taken for granted, you'll uncover a liberating truth that will set you free. True kindness doesn't drain you. It empowers you. It doesn't make you smaller or weaker, it makes you whole. This is the raw, dark, yet honest wisdom Jung left behind. To be truly good, we must first become truly whole. The journey begins when we face the shadows we've spent so long denying. Yes, Jung referred to the shadow, but not as some abstract idea. No, the shadow is real. It's the part of us that we've been conditioned to fear, repress, and disown. It's where we shove our anger, our unfulfilled desires, our right to say no, and our deep, unspoken need to be seen and valued. For those of us who pride ourselves on being good, the shadow can feel terrifying. Our identity is built on being the light, the person who always helps, never says no, and is always there for everyone else. The thought of having a dark side fills us with dread. We're convinced that if we acknowledge it, if we admit we have anger, or that we need things for ourselves, It will shatter everything we've worked so hard to create. But that denial, it comes with a price, a heavy price. When we ignore our shadow, it doesn't go away. It grows stronger, more powerful, and more uncontrollable. It's like trying to hold back a raging river with bare hands. Eventually, it will break through, no matter how tightly we try to suppress it. Repressed energy doesn't just disappear, it twists, it mutates, and it emerges in ways we can't even control. Overly kind people often experience this in quiet, subtle ways. It manifests as resentment when they help others who never return the favor. It shows up as silent, simmering anger when boundaries are crossed, though they never say anything. It turns into deep, soul-crushing sadness when they realize no one truly sees them, no one truly understands their needs. The more we strive for perfection in our goodness, the more vulnerable we become to our own shadow. This paradox is difficult to grasp. Deny your anger, and you become passive-aggressive. Reject your need for recognition, and you manipulate others subtly. Pretend you don't need anything, and you become an emotional vampire, unknowingly draining those around you. Jung taught us that the shadow isn't our enemy. It's an essential part of who we are. It holds not only our so-called negative traits, but also our most unclaimed and untapped power, our ability to set boundaries, our courage to stand up for ourselves, and our ability to say no without guilt. When we reject the shadow, we don't just lose our darkness. We lose part of our light. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life trying to be the good one. They were taught that anger is bad, that setting boundaries is selfish, and that their needs should always come last. What happens to this person? They don't just suppress their anger, they suppress their power, their right to take up space in this world. They suppress their ability to say no, to stand tall, to take control of their own life. Their kindness becomes a self-imposed prison. Jung understood that this isn't kindness at all. It's fear disguised as virtue. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of not being enough. But the truth is, truly kind people aren't those who never get angry or never set limits. They're the ones who have learned to integrate all their parts, the light and the dark, into one coherent, powerful whole. The shadow, when acknowledged and embraced, becomes a wellspring of strength. It's like a garden dark, rich, and teeming with life. If we dare to enter, we'll find not just our fears, but our deepest power and wisdom. And that's where naive kindness transforms into true, conscious wisdom. For Carl Jung, true spiritual work isn't about erasing or eliminating the shadow within us. It's about learning how to dance with it. It's about acknowledging that our ability to feel anger is just as sacred as our capacity for love, that our boundaries hold equal importance to our generosity, and that our need for recognition is just as valid as our desire to give. This is the first vital step towards a more authentic and powerful form of kindness. Realizing that the shadow is not your enemy, but a deeply intertwined part of who you are, is the key to unlocking your true potential. When you finally face it, when you meet the shadow's gaze instead of avoiding it, you'll find that what you feared the most might be the very thing you needed to embrace to become whole. In that moment, you will no longer be chained by shame or guilt, but empowered by a deep soul-level integration. Blind kindness, however, comes at a significant cost. It isn't just a matter of emotional exhaustion. It's the price we pay for unspoken, unrealized dreams, unbalanced relationships, and a life only half-lived. This kind of kindness shows up as constant fatigue, a never-ending giving of ourselves without receiving anything in return. It's the silent frustration that builds when we bury our own needs, convincing ourselves that others' needs are always more important. But here's the reality. It breeds deep loneliness, the kind that sneaks up quietly. We are surrounded by people who know our kindness, yet no one truly knows our hearts. Consider the person who has made self-sacrifice their identity. This person doesn't just give their time or energy, they give away essential pieces of their soul. Every time they ignore their own needs for the sake of others, every time they silence their voice to maintain the peace, every time they say yes while their heart screams no, they're paying with the fragments of their essence. This isn't strength, it's a hollowing out, a self-inflicted wound that bleeds slowly but relentlessly. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The modern martyr doesn't wear a visible crown of thorns. Their suffering doesn't manifest in physical signs of pain. It shows up in sleepless nights, in relationships where they give more than they receive, in a schedule so packed with obligations that there's no room left for themselves. Society praises this type of endless giving, but fails to see the deep self-neglect hiding beneath that apparent nobility. Jung observed that this pattern of self-sacrifice often has deep, painful roots in childhood. Perhaps you were the child who learned to be the good one, to keep peace in the family. Maybe you were taught that your worth depended on how much you could do for others. Those early lessons become invisible chains, binding us to self-destructive behaviors that we carry into adulthood, often without even realizing it. For someone who practices blind kindness, their relationships follow a predictable script. They become everyone's confidant, the shoulder to cry on, the unwavering support. But when it's their turn to seek help, they are met with an unsettling emptiness. The people they've helped become so accustomed to receiving from them that they never consider offering anything back. It's a loneliness that cuts deeper than being alone. It's the soul, deep loneliness of being surrounded by people who don't see you, who don't acknowledge the pieces of yourself that have been sacrificed. The exhaustion of constantly giving isn't just physical. It's a deep emotional fatigue that slowly drains the joy of living. Over time, it feels like a slow spiritual death where you lose touch with your dreams, your desires, and your true needs. You become an empty vessel existing only to fulfill others' needs, never your own. This imbalance creates a toxic dynamic where the overly kind person becomes indispensable to others, yet invisible to themselves. It's a form of codependency disguised as virtue. In truth, it's a self-imposed prison. You become a resource to others, but in doing so, you lose your humanity. The cruel irony is that this excessive kindness doesn't just hurt the person practicing it. It harms those they are trying to help. By constantly rescuing others, always being available, and never allowing others to face the consequences of their actions, the chronically kind person stunts the growth of those they love. This behavior pattern breeds resentment, not just for others, but for yourself. It's the resentment of someone who gave everything and received nothing in return. The person who was there for everyone, but found no one there when they needed support. And when that resentment is buried beneath layers of kindness, it becomes a poison that seeps slowly into every relationship, turning them toxic. This is the true cost of blind kindness. It's not just our energy, our time, or our peace of mind that we lose. It's our connection to our true essence, our deepest desires, and our ability to set healthy boundaries. We become diluted versions of ourselves, existing only in service to the needs of others, while our own needs go unfulfilled. But integrating the shadow, acknowledging it, embracing it, is not a smooth or comfortable process. It requires courage, honesty, and the willingness to face what we have long avoided. It's like turning on a light in a room that has been dark for years. At first, the light might sting our eyes, and the truth we see might be unsettling. But only by seeing clearly can we begin to put things in order and begin to transform. This transformation requires us to stop denying the parts of ourselves that we've been taught to hide, to stop pretending that our anger, our pain, or our boundaries are less important than our kindness. Only when we integrate all parts of ourselves, light and dark, can we finally step into a true, whole version of ourselves. And in doing so, we can offer the world a more authentic, powerful kindness. This process begins with acknowledging a hard truth. Our excessive kindness has often been a form of avoidance. We avoid conflict. We avoid rejection. We avoid the possibility of being judged or criticized. At the heart of every act of excessive kindness, there is a fundamental fear that if we stop giving, if we set boundaries, if we are no longer perfectly kind, we won't be loved for who we truly are. This fear has driven so many of us to live in a constant state of giving without asking for anything in return, sacrificing ourselves for the approval and affection of others. Transformation requires a particular kind of bravery, a courage that isn't easy to summon. We must be willing to disappoint those who have grown used to our unyielding availability, the people who rely on us to be everything for them, at the cost of our well-being. It's like rewriting an invisible contract that we've unknowingly upheld for years. The old agreement might have been something like, "I'll be everything you need, and in return, you'll love me." But the new contract says, "I'll be authentic, even if that means I won't always please you." Integrating the shadow doesn't mean becoming cruel or indifferent. On the contrary, it's about developing a deeper, more real kindness. It's the difference between a weak flame that is easily extinguished by a breeze and a strong fire that radiates warmth and light without burning itself out. True power, the kind that comes from shadow integration, arises from self-acceptance, the ability to stand in our truth without needing to overpower others or hide behind false goodness. The wise kindness that emerges from this journey is like a tree with deep, unshakable roots. It doesn't need to prove its strength by tearing others down. Its power is displayed in its steady, unwavering presence. It offers shelter when it's right to do so, and maintains its natural boundaries without apology for taking up space in the world. It stands firm, grounded, and rooted in the reality of its existence. Those who reach this point of integration discover a beautiful paradox. The more they accept their darkness, the more genuinely kind they become. They no longer give out of obligation or fear of being rejected. They give from a place of conscious choice. Their generosity flows from abundance, not from emptiness. Their compassion comes from a place of strength, not weakness. This new way of being requires a continued commitment to authenticity. It means understanding that sometimes we will feel anger, and that this anger is not something to be feared or suppressed. It's a compass, guiding us to where our boundaries have been crossed. It means accepting that sometimes we will need to say no, and that this no can be just as sacred as any yes we've ever offered. Integration also requires us to acknowledge that not all our shadow parts are negative. Within that shadow we feared lie our most powerful gifts, our discernment, our intuition about others' intentions, and our fierce ability to protect what we hold sacred. The wise kindness that comes from integration has discernment. It knows when to give, when to withhold, when to draw closer, and when to keep distance. It's not a kindness that spills out aimlessly. It's a kindness that flows with purpose and awareness. It honors both the giver and the receiver, recognizing that healthy boundaries are a form of mutual respect. This transformation allows us to move through the world in an entirely new way. We no longer burn ourselves out, trying to light the paths of others. We become the lighthouse, radiating our light, guiding others without depleting ourselves in the process. Our kindness becomes more powerful because we no longer need everyone's approval or love to feel whole. The true integration of the shadow allows us to be kind, not out of fear of being something else, but because we choose to be kind from a place of wholeness. It's a kindness that includes our strength, our limits, our ability to say no, and our willingness to disappoint when necessary. At its core, it is kindness born not from fear, but from truth. The establishment of healthy boundaries is a practice Jung saw as essential to psychological development. Yet, for those who have built their identity around endless kindness, setting limits can feel like a betrayal of their innermost nature. But this is where ancient wisdom becomes especially relevant. Boundaries are not walls that divide us from others. They are sacred lines that define where we end and where others begin. The ability to create boundaries begins with a revolutionary act, recognizing our inherent worth, not worth based on what we give or do for others, but the inner value that exists simply because we are here, alive, and deserving of respect. This recognition isn't selfish. It's a fundamental act of psychological honesty. When we truly value ourselves, a new way of relating to the world unfolds. We no longer need to earn our right to exist through excessive goodness. We begin to see that reciprocity in relationships isn't a luxury, it's a psychological necessity. This new understanding shifts everything. It allows us to give not from emptiness, but from a place of true connection, where our boundaries are as sacred as our acts of kindness. It is the foundation for creating relationships that are balanced, healthy, and reciprocal relationships, where we are seen, heard, and valued as much as we value others. Healthy relationships are those in which giving and receiving flow in balance, and understanding this truth has the power to shift the very way we interact with others. It becomes clear that when we allow others to repeatedly cross our boundaries, we do more than harm ourselves, we prevent them from learning to respect our limits. This realization isn't just liberating, it's a deep, profound shift in how we begin to see ourselves and our relationships. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Genuine kindness, the kind that is born from true strength, includes the ability to uphold clear boundaries. These boundaries serve as a shield that protects both our ability to give and the dignity of those who receive. Without them, we risk giving from an empty well, and that emptiness will only drain us over time. But when we set boundaries, we also ensure that we are truly giving what is sustainable, what is generous, and what is healthy. People who learn to set healthy boundaries often experience a fascinating paradox. Their relationships may become fewer, but those that remain will be deeper, richer, and more meaningful. Some people may drift away when they realize they can no longer rely on your unyielding availability, but those who stay will be the ones who truly respect and value you as a whole person, with needs, limits, and a life beyond their own. The practice of setting boundaries requires us to develop a new emotional vocabulary. We begin to recognize the difference between authentic guilt, the kind that is tied to our conscience, and manipulated guilt, which is rooted in others' expectations and demands. We also start to see the difference between true responsibility, the kind that comes from our genuine desire to contribute, and the burdens we've wrongly taken on out of fear, guilt, or the desire to please. This process involves a fundamental shift in how we view ourselves. We must come to recognize that our time, energy, and emotional resources are finite, sacred, and worthy of protection. We can't give from an empty well, and if we don't protect our boundaries, we risk depleting ourselves, leaving nothing of value to offer when it's truly needed and appropriate. True protection of our kindness doesn't come from building walls that shut people out. It comes from cultivating wise discernment, knowing where, when, and with whom to share our gifts. It's like tending a garden. A garden needs clear borders to thrive, but it also needs constant care. We must nurture it, protect it, and know when to give and when to conserve. When we guard our energy and resources with intention, we find that our ability to be genuinely kind grows stronger, not weaker. This process of transformation, the alchemical journey of integrating light and shadow, is profoundly transformative. It begins the moment we stop fighting against our dual nature, the light and the darkness within us. Jung discovered that true transformation doesn't happen by trying to eliminate the darker parts of ourselves. It happens when we allow those parts to teach us, to guide us, and to show us what we need to learn. Our anger, for example, reveals where we need to set boundaries. Our resentment points to where we've been giving too much and neglecting our own needs. Our sadness calls us to a deeper awareness, showing us where we need to care for ourselves more and where we need to set limits to preserve our peace. As we integrate these parts of ourselves, authentic strength emerges like gold, purified in the alchemical fire of self-awareness. This strength is no longer brute force, nor is it the weakness of endless, self-sacrificing kindness. It becomes a refined power, one that knows when to move forward and when to pull back, when to give and when to conserve, when to speak and when to remain silent. People who have achieved this level of integration develop a unique presence. They don't need to prove their goodness or their strength to the world. They simply are. Their authenticity becomes their shield, and their truth becomes their sword. They've learned that real strength lies not in controlling others, but in mastering themselves. The wisdom that comes from this transformation is like a controlled flame. It can warm or burn, depending on how it's used. Those who reach this state understand that their power isn't meant to dominate or control. It's meant to protect what is sacred, including their essence. Their kindness becomes an extension of their true self, grounded in authenticity, strength, and deep inner wisdom. This is the kind of kindness that changes the world. It's the kind of kindness that heals not just others, but ourselves too. It's the kind of kindness that stands firm in its boundaries and offers shelter and warmth when it's right to do so. It's not the kindness of exhaustion, but the kindness of empowerment. They've learned that kindness, without discernment, is just as dangerous as power without compassion. This realization creates a profound shift in how we interact with the world. It demands constant vigilance, not driven by fear, but by awakened awareness. It's like tending a balanced garden. Some plants require more sun, others thrive in shade, and the wise gardener knows that both are essential to a healthy ecosystem. Similarly, we must nourish both our light and our shadow, recognizing that both are integral to our wholeness. The kindness that arises from this alchemical integration is not a compulsion born of fear or guilt. It is a conscious choice. It is a kindness that knows its worth, that doesn't feel the need to prove itself at every turn. This is the kindness that can say no without guilt and say yes without resentment. It is a kindness that has made peace with its own shadow, and, in doing so, is no longer afraid of the darkness in others. This transformation is not a final destination. It's an ongoing process. It's an eternal dance between light and shadow, power and compassion, giving and receiving. Every day presents new opportunities to refine this balance, to consciously choose how to use our power to be kind, not from a place of fear, but from a place of strength. This personal alchemy creates a ripple effect that extends outward, touching the world around us. When we allow ourselves to be whole, we implicitly permit others to do the same. By showing that it's possible to be both strong and kind, both powerful and compassionate, we create a new model of what it means to be truly human. The final transformation leads us to a powerful realization. Real kindness is not a straitjacket that confines us. It is a force that sets us free. It is not a mask we wear to be accepted, but an authentic expression of who we truly are. It is a state of being where our power and compassion flow from the same wellspring, where our light and shadow work together in harmony to create something greater than the sum of their parts. The journey we've explored through Jung's wisdom is not just a collection of ideas. It's an invitation to deep and radical transformation. This transformation begins the moment we accept that our kindness doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful, that our power doesn't have to be feared to be respected, and that our wholeness includes both light and shadow. Jung has shown us that the path to a more authentic and powerful life doesn't lie in denying our dual nature. The key is consciously embracing it. When we integrate our shadow, allowing our power and kindness to coexist, we become more complete, more capable of creating the life we truly desire. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to ask you, what have you learned so far? Has this message helped you see kindness in a new light? What part of embracing both your light and your shadow will you bring into your daily life from now on? Take a moment to reflect on this, and I'd love to hear from you. Comment below and share with us one thing you've learned today and how you plan to practice it in your life. If you found value in this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing powerful insights like this one. Let's walk this path of transformation together. Thank you for being here.